Good morning, my name is Karen Kong and I'm a demonstrator in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to my live crafting on Thursdays. It's my Rolling Waves Crafting to Go series for the month of March. If you haven't joined me before and you haven't watched my demos, for this year I am doing live demonstrations of cards that I make out of one bundle for each month. So this month I'm making 4 cards from the Rolling Waves bundle, and if you place a qualifying order with me in a specific time period, then I will send you all the pieces for these cards at the end of the month for free. So if you missed last week's card, this is last week's card. They have little umbrellas that pop open with a little message inside. And this week's card is a fun fold, and it opens like this. Good morning, Tara. Thanks for joining. So it opens like this. I think that's really fun. So let me just get started on moving my desktop over. So, sorry, not my desktop, my camera. Let me get my desktop going though, so I can see all your comments and questions while we're crafting. And keep me company because it's no fun to talk to myself. And okay, my desktop is ready to go. Let's move the camera over to the desktop, okay? Just close your eyes while I remove my camera. So I'm using some retired colors this week. And of course, you know, if you're making these afterwards on your own, you can always use your whatever color combination works for you. And it is going to be a fun fold today. Okay, so here's the card. I have all my pieces here, and I will send in the packet everything ready and made for you. And if you have the bundle, you can die cut these yourself. And create your own card with your own selection of papers. So let's talk about this fun fold. It's really easy. There's 2 score lines so that you can fold the card, and I used the Hexagon punch to cut out an opening so that this pops out. Okay. I don't know if this is an original fun fold or not, but I did see another demonstrator use it with a completely different layout, completely different shape. Hers was a hexagon, but it was a different company, different hexagon shape itself. Like it was, the dimensions were slightly different from the one from Stampin' Up, but I think this one worked well. What else can I tell you? Oh, so the colors are Bermuda Bay, which is one of my favorite blues for the paper. I stamped with Coastal Cabana on top of it, and I used it for brushing on color here on my wave die cut. Pale Papaya is the color that I matched with it for the shells, so I just brushed on color for the shells onto white and die cut them. Let me show you that. So here's my white, and I brushed on the Pale Papaya. You can see it's all die cut, all the shapes out, and so that I could get like a lighter shade of the Pale Papaya rather than the solid cardstock, which is what I used for the umbrella. If you see these little, can you see these little towels here underneath the umbrellas? I cut those out of DSP from the retired Dandy Designs paper. I think that was a Celebration freebie, if I remember right. Good morning, Shali. Thanks for joining in from sunny Mexico, I believe. So yeah, that's the retired paper, but you can use whatever paper or DSP that you have that matches your color scheme. And this is actually, I think what they say that color is in that card pack is actually Calypso Coral, but it's a lighter version, so it's not the full dark Calypso Coral. It's a lighter shade of it, and I think it complements the Pale Papaya. It's close enough that it doesn't clash, I think. I think they look good. And then that is Coastal Cabana there for that DSP. So that's pretty much it for explaining the cards. So we can start making the card now. So I have the cardstock here. It's Crumb Cake, and it's cut lengthwise. So I will give you all the measurements afterwards in the video description, so don't worry about writing things down. But this is a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of cardstock, and I scored it at 2 5/16 inches from one side, and then 4 5/16 inches from the other side. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to maybe, let's see, I like to put together all the little pieces together first, but let's put together this part first. Okay, I'm going to show you how to put this part together first. So I am going to stamp this wave image onto the top part of my Bermuda Bay cardstock. Okay, so this is my piece here. I'm just going to bring a piece of scrap over so that I can not worry. I won't have to worry about stamping onto my tabletop. Sorry. I just realized that I have, okay, so I have little pieces of my DSP here. And I just realized, oh, okay, I was looking for the other one, my other little towel. So anyways, I'll put those aside so I don't lose them. Okay, so let's grab the ink, the block, and my stamp. So here's the one I'm using. I hadn't used it at all until I got to this card, and I was wondering how I could best use it. And I played around with stamping it on top of the other water stamp, and I didn't love how it looked, so I found a better way to use it. Oh yes, we're all jealous, Shelley, that you are somewhere hot and sunny. I hope the weather's nice there for you. Okay, so that's the stamp. I'm going to bring in Coastal Cabana. I didn't stamp in, you could stamp in Bermuda Bay, like that's tone on tone with the same cardstock color and ink color, works really well. I just wanted something a bit lighter, and it still turns out fairly dark, as you can see. And I think if I stamped in Bermuda Bay, you would probably end up with a much darker wave image, and that's fine too. It just depends on what you want it to look like. So I'm going to stamp it now, and then I will not die cut, I will punch out, okay? But you can stamp afterwards, and if you ask me how I know that, that's because that's what I did the first time. I actually, when I was playing with the assembly of this card and designing it, I actually ended up stamping this afterwards. So that works too. You just have to make sure you put a piece of paper underneath, like, because I had the hexagon already punched out, to put a piece of paper underneath so you don't stamp your cardstock or your table by accident. Okay. Actually, you know what? With these long stamps, I actually prefer to ink it up this way. I'll put the ink to the stamp instead of the other way around. Okay, so I'm going across because this is longer than my ink pad. If you're not careful to be light about applying this, you can end up with like a line of ink. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I'll put this on the white so you can see it better. If I just press down on one section like this, can you see there's a line right there? Let me bring this up. Does that help? See, there's a line right there, so I don't want that to show up when I stamp. So I'm just kind of lightly tapping to avoid getting too many, try to avoid getting that line in my image. But luckily this piece here is shorter, and we should be able to find a section that does not have a line in it. So I think it looks pretty good. And I am just going to stamp. So if I line this up, it's in the top half, okay? So you want to leave room for your froth, the wave froth at the bottom. So I'm going to stamp closer to the top for this one. Alright, and let's put that away for now. I'm just going to quickly clean off my stamp. And we'll set that aside. Okay. So let's bring this in. I'm going to fold the along the score lines and open up again. It's just easier to do it now when there's nothing on it. Let's grab my phone folder. And we'll fold them both ends towards the middle. Okay, so I know that these are really finicky measurements. You are using the 1/16 inch lines on your trimmer if you are cutting this yourself, because you need to leave a little bit of room so that it's not quite up to the top, like laying over top of the fold line, so that when you shut this, it lies nice and flat, okay? Okay, so I'm going to open it back up again, and I'm going to take this short section that's going to be my top here, right? So I'm going to turn this over because I'm going to be working with this section here. Okay, so we're going to adhere this right up to the top there, okay? There's a little bit of overhang, but that's okay. It's going to be chopped off when you cut the edge. Okay, so I'm going to add glue. And I'm trying to remember not to put glue right to the bottom of the paper, because we're going to be die cutting the edge of that with the wave die edge piece. Okay, so up here is the top. I think I went a little bit closer to the bottom than I would have liked. I'm going to add a little bit more glue here to make sure it stays after I've die cut it. Okay, so putting the wave stamped image up closer to the top of the fold here. And I'm just making sure that's lined up. Okay, I'm going to push it up just a little bit more. That's the beauty of working with glue, is that I have a couple of extra seconds to move that around, and so that when I close my card I won't have any crumb cake peeking out. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, so you could add this and try to match it up, but I think it's easier if you die cut first. So I'm going to grab the edge of the wave die here, okay? And I'm going to take my cut and emboss machine, we're going to run it through. So let's make some room. I'm going to bring my cut and emboss machine over. And I do need the big one. This, oops, this thing's out of the way. Let's, oops, this is not the right plate. Let's bring in my cutting plate. All right, so I have to run it through this way because this is too wide to go through like this, okay? So I have to put it through this way. And let's grab the edge of this. So depending on where you want this piece, okay, this is your other piece of the wave froth, okay? I'll talk about that after, but just know that depending on how you cut this edge is where you can end up matching this to, okay? So if you want to only have to cut one side, I would match the die here, so that you can line this up with the edge, and then you only have to chop off one end. But it doesn't really matter, it's totally up to you. This time, for this one, for the original card, I did actually line up the edge, the very edge of the die to the edge of the paper, like this, okay? So then I only had to chop off one side. But this time, I think I'm going to chop it in the middle, and let's see how that turns out. Okay, you might have to run this through twice because you are going through 2 layers of paper. And I'm just going to line up the bottom of the waves to the bottom of the paper there. Okay, I'm a little bit close. Let's bring it back a little bit so that it doesn't... I think I may have to use a piece of tape to secure this, but I always avoid using tape on mine because my cut and emboss machine is quite tight, and it tends, if I have any overlapping paper on top of the piece I'm cutting, it'll emboss the shape of the paper right into the paper. So let me just see if I can grab some washi tape. Just looking for a small piece here, just to hold that die still. Okay, so here's a little bit of washi tape, and I'm not going to put on my paper. I'm going to hold it to the, see if I can hold it to the plate itself. Okay, and I need my top plate. All right, let's just double check. Okay, that's a little higher than I would like. Let's use my tweezers to just move it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, that looks good. All right, so I'm just going to feed that in and let's run it through. And it's hard to get that piece through because it's right across the rollers, so it's a little bit harder to feed through, but it does go. Okay, let's just double check to see if it cut through both pieces. Oh, perfect, it did. Good. All right, so we're done with that. Let's put it aside. Go. So we are in the middle of March, and we got teased with some spring weather last week, and now we are back to winter. Today, well, yesterday was freezing rain in the Ottawa area, and now today it's cold enough to snow. Oh, Tara had a question. If I cut the card sideways, even if I fold it and cut it sideways, I think you'll see exactly what the problem is. If I run it through like this, we're going to cut the card in half. And plus, this would be another 2 layers underneath. So we don't want to do that. Okay. So, all right. So this foamy piece, this is what I did. I'll show you. It's basically a piece of white. I blended on the Coastal Cabana on one half of it, okay, and then I took the die. Let me just show you. So I took the die, which is this one, the second largest piece of wave die, and I cut it through like this, okay. This is the whole width, but this piece of paper is a little bit short, but you get the idea. So basically I place it so that the bottom half of this die is on the white section. And then you get this die cut where you get the whites on the bottom and just the blue on the top, okay? So pretty easy. You're saying put it through like this. Oh, okay, like this. Let me just see. Here's the plate. It would be really tight. It would be off the edge. Like if I'd have to put it through like this, and that is going to be too wide for the cutting machine too. So good idea. Unfortunately, it's not going to be skinny enough to make it through. Okay, so now that we've cut the edge and we have our foam piece, I'm just going to measure. I'm just going to match it up to the edge here, right? So that's all I need to do for that. So I'm going to put some glue on the edge of this. Okay. Let's bring in my silicone mat. I have a whole bunch of pieces on my silicone mat that we need to put together too. Let's put this aside. All right. So I guess that it's gonna be, I want to glue this on first and then trim off the edges so that I get an exact fit. So I'm just kind of eyeballing where I should stop putting glue so it doesn't end up off the card base. Okay, so I'm just putting little dots of glue in the white spaces, and not too much, so hopefully it doesn't ooze out. And this is takes a little bit of patience, but it's well worth it, I think. So if you haven't heard the news, Stampin' Up! Is moving away from having an annual catalog. That's something I wanted to share. Almost forgot. So they want to have just 3 catalogs in the year. They're not going to have an annual and 2 minis. They're just going to have 3 catalogs. So one catalog, or the first one will launch in May, and then that will retire, and the next one will launch in September, I believe. And then the third one, is it December or January? So yeah, it's they are moving to a different model for their catalog releases, and I think that probably works because I think every time you release a new catalog, like the minis after the annual, people tend to forget about what's in the annual, right? So they're just going to move to 3 catalogs a year and they won't have any mini catalogs in between the releases. And then of course there are always the online releases as well, online exclusives. And this is one of the online exclusives. Oh, I went too far on that side because I was busy talking. Okay, no worries. Okay, I'm just going to scrape off that little bit there. Just going to try and find a piece of scrap. And I'm just going to take off those little dots there just to try and avoid getting glue in spots that I don't want. And my hand's sticky. All right, hopefully that's enough. Who's talking about snow? I see snow there in the comments. Yes, you could use it for snow, actually. That's a good point. I could actually, we could rework that somehow. Okay, so let's match this up, and we will adhere it to the edge. All right, so now I'm just going to flip it over, and we're going to trim off the edges of the paper. Okay, so let's take your paper snips, and we'll just snip and snip. Okay, so that's the edge done. Okay, so let's move on. Let's put together, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to do the hexagon here, okay? Let's put this aside for now. So what I did is that I unfold this part, and I fold that, okay? And I'm gonna take my hexagon punch. So the first time I did this, I did eyeball it, but I'm going to try and get this to be exactly halfway, or as close to as I can. This one's a little bit off, so you can see when it opens there's a little bit of a gap, which actually makes it easier to open and shut, so it's not a terrible thing. Nobody knows until you actually open it, and I don't think it's a big deal. But this time I think I'm going to try and get it a little closer to being halfway. So the height of my hexagon is exactly 2 inches, okay? So I'm going to measure 1 inch. down. Okay, so we'll do it from the back. And I'm going to measure the halfway point here, which is this is a 4 1/4 inch wide, so I'm going to measure to 2 1/8. Just going to mark it there. And I'm going to measure 1 inch down from there. Okay, so that's going to be the bottom tip of my hexagon. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so I'm going to slide this in, and see this tick there? Can you see the tick that I made at the halfway mark on my card? And then I'm going to just wiggle it into place. Actually, oh, I almost did this wrong. Okay, so if I do that, that's going to cut out a hole in the top of mine. I want a full hexagon hole on both sides, and I just want half. Okay, so let's do this. So my 1 inch mark is here at the bottom edge of my hexagon, and I'm visually lining up the middle mark here with the middle of the punch, and I'm going to make sure to try and line this up straight. Okay, and even if you make a little bit of a mistake, you're going to line up your hexagon to go through that hole smoothly anyways. You can just see, so I'm lining up the bottom edge of this punch to the edge of my cardstock, my card base, and hopefully that is correct. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and punch that. Okay, so now you have a perfect hole that you can put your hexagon through. So eventually what we're going to do is we're going to put our hexagon right on top like that. Okay? All right, so that is punched out. Let's go ahead and decorate our little hexagon here. Okay, so the hexagon is a Bermuda Bay. I'm just going to bring over my pieces here. Okay, so a Bermuda Bay. And I'm just going to double check that it fits exactly in this hole, because this one, so this hexagon punch is just ever so slightly different top to bottom. So that's why I have a little bit of a difference in where it lies. So I'm just going to double check that this lies right in here properly. See, I can see it overlaps a little bit on the right side. So I'm going to turn it around or flip it and see which way fits better. And I think this one fits exactly like this. Okay, so this, let me just double check that if I do it like this, no, see, I can see there's a little gap there. Let's try flipping it around. There's going to be one way where it just fits in exactly, and I think that's it. Okay, so this seems to be the right way. So I'm going to position my hexagon like this. Let's put this over here. Okay, so what I did here is I took another piece like of the edge of my water, and I did the same thing. I blended the top half, die cut it out so that I have a white edge here, and I'm just going to glue it on again, and we'll trim off the excess. Okay, so it doesn't have to be exact, it's whatever you want it to be. I think I'll go for something like that. Okay. Oh, I'm missing a clamshell here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so let's put some glue on the back of this. I'm going to line this up so I kind of visually see where I need to put my glue. I'm going to put my hand here so that I don't accidentally put glue dots beyond this part. I really like the wave edges in this set. They're so pretty. Okay, so that is the stopping point. I gotta remember to stop there. And put a little bit of glue up here to hold it down. Okay, I think we're good. I'm gonna flip this over. All right, gently press that. Okay, great. I don't have any glue coming out. Okay, so same thing as before. I'm just going to flip this over to trim off the excess. Okay, and I'm going to follow the edge of the hexagon here. There we go. Now it fits exactly on my hexagon. Okay, so I have, I took the 3 largest shell pieces from the die cuts, and I'm just going to arrange them on top, so like this. And I'm just going to use glue to adhere them. I'm not going to put any dimensionals because I'm going to put the sentiment up on dimensionals, okay? So let's put some glue on the back of these. And again, I avoid using too much glue because A, it oozes out, and the other thing is that it's got little die cut holes in the center, so it will also come out through the holes if you have too much glue. So we're going to try to avoid that. Okay, that's one. So I'm just going to put it on the right side. And we'll glue on our clamshell. Oops, a little bit of excess glue there. Okay. And we'll flip this over too and put it on the left side. And then we'll put our last one in the middle. I kind of want to make sure that the blue shows through here and it doesn't get covered. That's the only design tip that I have, but it's totally up to you how you want to position these. Okay. I'll turn this just a little bit more. Okay. Just going to press it down for a few seconds to give it time to adhere. All right, so there's the top. I'm going to stamp the word thank you on the very edge of this white piece of paper. Let's grab a block and the stamp. Here's the Thank you. And I'm just going to lay it down and pick it up with my block. That'll give you the straightest, likely give you the straightest way to put a long sentiment on a block without getting it bent out of alignment. Okay, so I'm just inking this up. And there's the word thank you. I'm going to bring my paper trimmer back so I can just cut that word out. Okay, so I'm going to line this up right at the top here, and we'll just cut that out. Okay. So the way this is going to adhere eventually is on top of this wave. Okay, so we're going to do it like this eventually. Okay, but right now I realize that we have to do this part here. Okay, we have to stamp it and then adhere it. So I'm going to need a piece of scrap paper again. All right, and you're going to stamp along the edge here. And as you can see, I stamped, you know, off of it as well. It didn't line up exactly, and I think it looks good like that. Okay, so it didn't matter what edge I used underneath. Okay, sorry, what section of the edge die, because this does not line up. It covers it up completely, so you don't have to worry about matching it. Okay. Okay, so here's my stamp again, and I am going to ink it up this way. And if you pat lightly, you can almost avoid getting too many lines on this. There, I don't see any lines. Okay. And it does not have to match, right? This is not going to match exactly, so I'm just going to find a section that I like how it kind of looks together, and we'll just stamp it. Okay. All right. Putting away the Coastal Cabana again so I don't ink myself. And we're going to adhere this to the top edge of the bottom flap. Okay, so right there. So what I'll do is I'll do it like this so I can see the edge properly. Okay. Yes, Bermuda Bay is a really beautiful blue. Okay. Just gonna nudge this into place so that it fits exactly. can see that it's very slightly long. So I'm going to match up one side and the top edge, and then we will just trim off that little bit of excess. All right, so let's just take this scissors. There we go. Now it's lined up exactly. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to leave it open like this because it won't, otherwise the paper keeps coming up like that and it makes it harder to stamp straight on. So let's leave it open to stamp. Okay, so if you're following this design, and you can stamp whatever way you like, I'm just going to add some sand and some seashells. Okay. Let's grab a block, and I'm going to grab the stamps. Looking for my, oh yes, they're right next to me. Okay, so some sand and seashells. Let's do the seashells first. And actually, maybe I'll put them upside down like this time. Kind of fits in better with the wave. There we go. And I'm going to grab the next shell. Just to clean this off, and we'll use it for the sand stamp. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to be stamping off the edge here. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap, and we will make sure that I don't stamp my desktop. Okay, so I'm just going to try to follow the wave edge here. Okay. So I don't want to cover my other shell, and I'm just going to take a piece of scrap. Let me find a little bit of scrap here and cover up the shell here. I'm not gonna, I don't want it to be covered by any sand, so we'll stamp it like this. There we go. And I'll add a little bit more sand over here. All right. We're not quite done with that sand yet. Okay, so I do want some sand underneath my my umbrellas here. So I'm going to stamp a little bit of sand approximately where they're going to be. So if I use my base just as a guideline, I'm going to put some here. And maybe at the bottom over here. Okay. We're going to finish the assembly of these pieces, and I forgot to put the tag there, so let's put the tag on before I forget the sentiment. Let's close this up. Okay, so this I did use dimensionals for. I'm having trouble picking this up. Where's my tweezers? There we go. Okay. Let's grab some mini dimensionals and we'll pop that up on dimensionals so it stands up on the hexagon. So I'm aiming not to place dimensionals where there's already 3 layers of, 2 or 3 layers of cardstock, because it will make it a little bumpy, right? So I think what I'm going to do, I know that the left side we have just 1 layer there. Okay, so it's going to go here approximately. So the one on my left, the dimension over here is going to sit on top of 2 layers of cardstock. So what I'm going to do actually, so I'm going to take it off, and hopefully it's not too stuck on. And I'm going to move it over, and I'm actually going to put it right here, right on the paper, so I know that it's not covering that leg. And then also put 1 more in the middle, which is totally optional. Probably don't need it. It's not super necessary, but I think it holds up the middle nicely, especially if it's going through the mail. So I'm going to take off the backings, and then we'll put it down. Okay, so let's try to center that. There we go. Okay, so that's put together. Let's put together our umbrellas. So I saw somebody else, Laura Secchi, posted a card that she made, and she alternated the sections of the umbrella color in different colors. And I thought that was great. I don't know why it never occurred to me to do that, but I thought that was a great idea. So I will try that on another card. But for this one, I'm alternating pale papaya with white. I did one stripe here, and then white, and then 2 pale papaya, and then the alternate. So I'm going to just rearrange these so that I don't accidentally do the wrong combination, and then we'll adhere them. So these 2 go over here, and this one goes over here. All right. So let's put these on first. Actually, if you're still watching, you got to tell us, how warm is it there? Or maybe she's gone to hang out at the pool or at the beach. Not sure. Okay, a little bit too much glue there, but I'm going to cover part of it up with the white stripe. I'm going to go back to using dots. I think I have a little bit more control when I'm using dots than trying to put a strip of glue. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize there was a time change there where you are. She says she's on the treadmill. She's 2 hours behind, so that makes it 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh my gosh. Why are you up so early? Aren't you on vacation? Or is it, I'm gonna guess that your brain is like mine. It's the perimenopause or menopause symptoms where you can't sleep. So I hit about 5 or 6 hours of sleep and my brain automatically just wakes up. Most days it's because I have to get up to get my daughter ready for school. But then even on the days that I don't need to be up, it's really frustrating when I want to sleep in and my brain just says, wake up. time to start thinking. And I do make it a habit to go first thing in the morning to the gym, except on days when I have my live. So there's one umbrella. Oh, another early morning bird who likes to work out. That's good for your dad. Good for him. I find that it's easier to just get it done first thing in the morning before I have any excuses about how tired I am or how cold and dark it is and I don't want to go outside to the gym. I have no excuses, especially when I have to get up early for my daughter anyways. And so I just get it done and then I can enjoy the rest of my day. Let's flip all these rings over and we can hopefully get this glued up quickly. So assembling these is actually fun. I like playing with the different striped umbrellas. I tried Magenta Madness, no, Melon Mambo with this card, but then I realized that it didn't look good with the shells being in Pale Papaya, so I switched over to Pale Papaya. Okay, they are super early going to bed. That's how they get their full night's rest and still get up early in the day. Oops. Okay. All right, so my umbrellas are ready. Now let's make our little beach towels. So all I did to make this a beach towel, and I saw other demonstrators do this, I just took my scissors and made little snips up the edge so you get a little bit of a fringe. So that's what I'm going to do here. Most of it's going to be hidden underneath the umbrella anyways, so I just take my scissors and they're really small towels, so this really doesn't take very long. All right, there's one. And this is definitely easier than fussy cutting, you know? I mean, you're just cutting little straight lines. I think it just adds a little bit of texture, makes it a little bit more fun. There. Okay, so now I have my little beach towels. All right. Oh, that's right. That's right, Tara. You have something that does a fringe. You have a die that does a fringe from the balloon set, the birthday set, but you might need to make these. These are pretty skinny cuts, so I'm just trying to find my card base. Here we go. Here's my card base. All right, so let's arrange it first. So approximately here and here. Let's do this time. Okay, so I want it a little bit higher so that I can see my sand here at the bottom. All right. This guy wants to stick. There we go. So you don't want your towels in the water, so I guess that's what really matters. Okay. Let's put some glue on that. Make sure the fringe is headed out so you can see it. And I'm just making sure my towel is not in the water. And then we'll glue this one on as well. Okay. Let's put this one down with glue, and then so this one is adhered with glue, and I raised this one up a little bit on top of it. Okay, so there's one, and then we will get dimensionals and put them on here. Maybe I'll use the little ones. Let's see. So I'm going to overlap a little bit, and I think this time I'm not going to actually pay, it won't matter too much where I'm going to put my dimensionals. It's just one layer. One extra layer of cardstock there, but let me just double check. I think, yeah, okay, so I just I can put the dimensionals on, doesn't matter as long as where I put them exactly, but I don't want it to be too close to the edge here so that it sits on top of that umbrella, right? So I'm just going to put it a little bit away from the edge, and then one in the middle. Okay, so my dimensionals are not right up to the edge of my umbrella, just so that when I go to place it on top of the other umbrella with a little bit of overlap, it's not going to raise it up too high. Let's see, let's put it on like this. Here we go. All right. So that is the umbrella and the towels done. Okay, so for this part, you're going to use the hole as your guide for placing this in. Okay, it should fit in nicely because I did measure it, but now it's a bit tight, only because I think of all the layers. So, but you're going to use that as your guide. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue on only the lower half, so I know that when I flip this over, this is my lower half, so I am going to make sure not to go past that. And be sure not to go too close to the edge. Okay. You can also use tear and tape. That would work well too. and stick it right into the hole there. Okay, so I was really close to the edge here, but that's fine. So now when you open it, can you open? Oh, that's strange. Okay, I'm just nudging it over to make sure that when it opens and I can pull it back over down again. There we go, it's just the corner is getting caught a little bit. Okay, and then the last thing to do is to add this white piece here. So I think I forgot to cut that piece. So I'm going to cut it now. It is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8 inch. So let me just cut that first. Grab a piece of paper. And I'm going to bring in my trimmer. Shalise says she wants a live every morning to help her pass time on the treadmill. I don't think I can do it. And you're saying that you would have glued the opening and then put the hexagon piece into it? I'm not sure what you mean, glued the opening. Because this opening has to come open. I must be misunderstanding what you're saying. Anyways, we'll continue because I need to put in that last piece. So what did I say? It's 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. 4 1/8. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this onto my open section here. Okay, so you're going to wonder how you're going to get that hexagon shape. I am actually going to line it up right against the fold line. Oh, this is wider than I need. This looks to be... Did I not cut it square? That's weird. I think it's a little bit too wide. It's like a 1/16 of an inch too wide, or what's going on here? 4 1/8. It is 4 1/8. What's going on? Okay, this is a little bit wider than I need it to be for this card base. I want it to be slightly smaller. I'm going to cut it just a 1/16 of an inch off so that it fits in nicely. Okay, so like I was saying, that looks better. Okay, so I'm going to just center it along the edge of the fold line here, okay? Do you see this? Okay, so it is right up against the edge but not over. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to take a pencil and just outline the shape of the hexagon. Oops. And that'll help me punch it out. Okay, so let's grab this punch. And there we go. All right, so let's see if this lines up properly. Okay, so I do find that, of course, that this is narrower than I want it to be. Okay, so because I lined it up here, that allows me to pull it down and be able to make it look like the edge follows the bottom edge of the hexagon, but it actually needs to be wider. So all I did after that was I took my scissors and I cut that little extra strip out. Okay, actually, does it fit like this better? I don't think it matters. The other side has a little bit of a lip because of the way it was cut. Okay, so all I'm going to do is cut that little strip off of the edge, okay, so that it follows more closely. So I'm just following the edge here and then meeting up at the bottom edge of that hexagon. Oops. So that we get a nice border around the opening of the hexagon shape. There we go. So now it should be about 1/8 of an inch. I think I can cut a little bit more on that side. There we go. There. That's going to look good. Okay, and of course you can add like a little bit of stamping and stuff. So I'm going to actually add some stamping on this one. I'm going to add a little bit of sand. If I can find my crumb cake. Just need a piece here. I want to stamp a little bit off. Okay. And I'm going to take the remaining die cuts, because if you can see this, I only used the 3 largest ones. I have some leftover stars, and we can use that on the inside. So I'm going to glue this on first, and then we will add the last few die cuts. So I just angled that at a 45-degree angle before I lay it down so that I had time to straighten out the edges. And of course the glue also lets me nudge it into place once I have it down. I think that looks good. And I'm going to grab some of my remaining die cuts. Oops. Let's grab these ones. Let's see. Two will be enough. Let's take out one of them. And a little bit of glue. I think the only thing I'm missing, like I have a lot of beach sets that would go with this, the rolling waves, but I think I am missing a sailboat. I think that's the only thing I don't have that would go really well with this. But I do know some people who do have sailboats, I think. Somebody in my group must have a sailboat. Okay, so there you go. That is the fun fold. So let's just tuck this in. So that is a cute fun fold with the rolling waves. Opens like this. and it wasn't that hard, just took a little bit of a time to assemble. I think it's so fun to put on the wave froth and add the wave stamps here. I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I hope you are inspired to make something yourself with this bundle, and if you have made a qualifying purchase, I will be giving you all the pieces for this card set to make your own card, and use my video to follow along. So thank you for watching and have a great week. I will see you next week. Bye everybody.